Okay. Let's see. Let's see. I know it's crazy. Now it's like acting like it wants to freeze up on my computer. It's okay. I'm like, we got to get this message out, Virgo. Okay, we got to get this message out the correct way. Okay. Um, but like I was saying, when it came to the relationship of your grandparents, all right, marriage, family, family gatherings, I felt like when it comes to this here situation from the beginning to the end, when it comes to your spiritual ancestors' relationship of their love life, um, and wanting to have success in love, marriage, and happiness, okay? I felt like in the beginning, both your grandmother and your grandfather was somebody who was looked upon with honors, okay? He was somebody who was viewed and highly respected, okay? Um, People had a lot of respect and gratitude for him. Somebody very sharp, very driven, ambitious, a hard worker, okay? I felt like in the beginning your grandparents was very happy together, okay? I felt like there were many blessings and lessons in this situation between both of your grandparents, okay? Um I feel like when it comes down to this here situation between I could say that between you and your grandparents, okay? The connection here. I feel like the reason why this was a long road between your grandparents, okay, is because for some, like I said, your grandfather could have been somebody who was in the military, okay, whether this is Navy, Marines, Army. This could have been a situation where your grandfather had to leave to go, you know what I'm saying, and enlist in the Army, Marines, Navy, Air Force. He had to travel, okay? Therefore, a lot of his time was spent serving in the military and spent serving in politics, okay? When you see transportation and you see ships and you see voyage, okay? Um, I feel as though this situation between your parents leaving and traveling, having to travel the distance, having to pack their suitcase, um, having to go afar. You know what I'm saying? Take this long journey away from home. Um, and while the fathers was out on land in the army, you know, military, navy, doing whatever it is they do. Back then, the mothers were at home, right, raising the kids, cooking, cleaning, raising the children up on this spiritual religion, this foundation. Okay, um, like I said, there were many blessings that came from this here relationship, this marriage, because of the grandparents' character, morals, you know, this love here, this significant other, this spouse, this marriage, this giving birth to a child, just having these family moments and family gatherings at home in the living room. Somehow, this magical love life. of wanting to be successful because your grandfather or great grandfather could have been someone who was very successful back then during that time. You know what I'm saying? During that generation. Okay. Your grandfather was looked upon as somebody very highly favored. Okay. And yes, it was a long road for your grandparents. But then something happened along the way as your grandparents got older. Okay. Um this could have been a situation where for some of you, your grandmother, let me see who's here, Nay, Trinity, Cynthia, all about Arlene. And so what I'm getting from this is that this was like a as time went on, it became unrequited. You understand what I'm saying? It became unrequited. This became a situation where the situation felt one-sided between your grandparents. Okay? Um and let's say because this is the part where it's getting ready to get a little bit deep. Okay, this is the part where it's getting ready to get a little bit deep. Okay, because for some reason, for some of you, your grandparents could have felt like, or your grandmother could have felt like the situation was one-sided, unevenly yoked. Um, could have felt as though they was entrapped. You know what I mean? Almost made them feel like they was living inside a prison wall. Okay, or even your grandfather could have felt as though they was living inside some sort of a prison wall. Um, I felt like because see, you got this here. The prison card came out twice. Okay, and the reason why these prison cards is showing up is because for some of you, I felt as though your grandfather or whoever could have been in a war. Okay, because you know back then I think we had World War I and World War II. Okay, where your grandparents could have actually fought in the war. Okay, and they could have found themselves injured. Okay, they could have found themselves injured, hurt, and maybe even locked up during that time. Okay. And the reason why I'm sharing this story with you is because I'm trying to break it down where that you can understand what it was your grandparents went through during that time, okay? During that time of racism and slavery, the things they went through and how they had to fight to to become free. Now, for some of you, I feel very strongly where the part that you may feel that you can relate to this part of the story is let's say there's a little girl. Okay, let's say there's a little girl. And let's say this is you, right? So let's say that this could be your mother and this could be you. Okay? So let's say that as a child, this little girl felt neglected. You know what I'm saying? Missing her parents. Um, even for some, this child could have been removed away from the family because when it comes to the relationship with the father, let's say that this father could have uh gotten hurt while he was in the service. He could have passed away while he was in the service. He could have got locked up, and while he was away, locked up, mom could have took ill, could have took sick. Something never happened in this situation where, long story short, there was some grief and some sorrow where I felt as though this could be a grandfather who passed away, or this can be a grandmother who passed away with some sort of short illness. You see this? She's in the bed, she's sick. So I felt like, or I feel like this is a situation where you got grief and sorrow due to illness and sickness in the family home, right? Because the health card is also here. Okay, the health card is also here. So it's like when it comes to this here situation of sickness and health, and when it comes to the situation of imprisonment, slavery, war, a lot of that was going on back then. And I'm even picking up on the colors of red, white, and blue. So I'm picking up where there was a lot of fighting. There was a lot of combat back then. So it's very possible that one of your ancestors could have been locked up. It's very possible that one of your ancestors could have been a slave. Okay. It's very possible that back then, if your grandparents or your grandparent was a slave, that they could have been torn and snatched away from their family, where somebody was bought and sold as a child, because I know for me, my great grandmother was a slave and she was purchased at the age of 9. My great grandmother, she was purchased for $400 as a slave, okay? And so my great grandfather inherited her from his parents, okay? And the two of them ended up connecting, okay, where he got full ownership of her. And she ended up getting pregnant at a young age and having 10 to 12 kids. So this is a situation where you have a little girl who's torn away from her family. And let's say this little girl grew up on a farm where she was forced to grow up on a farm, where she was either forced to grow up on a farm or she could have been raised up on a farm as an orphanage. Okay? And she could have been, and the only person who she remembered being close to was her father. And then all of a sudden, this little girl loses her dad. You say your great grandfather was in slavery and escaped from the plantation farm. Okay. And so, for some of you, especially if your grandmother, let's say your grandmother was a slave, and because she was a slave and she was purchased and bought as a slave, this could have been a one-sided situation where she was forced to do things that she didn't want to do. Let's say she conceived a child in rape, right? Back during slavery, unrequited love. The situation was one-sided. Or this is a situation where maybe somebody was in love with one person, but the other person didn't feel the same way. You understand what I'm saying? So this was a one-sided situation where somebody gave and they didn't get nothing back in return. Or somebody was snatched away from their family because of grief and more. Somebody could have got sick and passed away. Virgos, for some of you, when it comes to this native card, you can have Native American in your family, okay? Or this can be something where you are very connected to the native motherland. Okay, some of you, and how do you know that you have this strong native? You can have somebody on your native side, an ancestor, an Indian, a male Indian, okay, um, who always felt the need to protect you and guide you. You could find yourself being very attracted to the native land, um, doing a lot of research, reading, learning about your native roots. You can find yourself attracted to native items. Okay, statues, flutes, water, rivers. You know what I'm saying? Bamboo. Um, just things that you could find yourself being attracted to, okay, or the meaning of your name or the meaning of your parents' name. Um, a lot of you are being protected by the high priest. So therefore you have this high priest energy inside you. And the reason why some of you have this high priest energy inside you is because you have angels, okay? Um, for some of you, you could be attracted to strings, violin, guitar, um, if you are really connected to your angels, um, because they say that when your angels are nearby, you could pick up on harps, violins, trumps. Okay, some of you could find yourself attracted to this here violin, the sound of violins or trumps, um, this music, the sound of angels. Some of you may even pick up on this angel sleep. This high priest is with you. For some of you, when it comes to the Celtic cross, right? What did I just do with it? Okay, so like for me, for example, I just wanted to get tied up, but even because, like, for example, like, yeah, I can use this for an example. I could use that as an example because I have my native necklace, right? Because one of these, okay. So when it comes to your Celtic cross, some of you could find yourself being attracted to this here Celtic cross, right? I have a necklace, I have a ring. Some of you can find yourself having the evil eye around you, needing to protect yourself with the clear chakras, the amethyst. You can find yourself attracted to this Celtic cross, okay? Some of you may even have ancestors who was a part of the Freemasons, okay? Your grandfather or grandfathers or forefathers could have been connected to the Freemasons. You can have aunts who back then, I know, like for me, my great grandmother, she is like she has British, German, and Irish in her DNA, right? In her family. I have a white great grandmother. And so her family connected to her dad's side, they were what you would view as being looked upon as medicine witches. Okay, my great grandmother was a midwife back then during slavery, and when they got free, she became a midwife where she would help colored African American women give birth at home. And back then, when they didn't really have the proper hospitals, and they didn't have the proper anesthesia, right? They would go out into the gardens, okay, where they planted their own seeds, right? Their spiritual herbs. Like this right here is a native shark necklace. Okay, I got my beads. Okay, so some of you may have this connection like I do. You see, I love to wear my bracelets, for example. Okay, my shark bracelets. All right, I have a whole bunch of them. I have so many bracelets. I have enough bracelets that come all up and down my arm. So some of you can have this connection. Okay, you can have this strong spiritual connection when it comes to the Celtic cross. You could come from a family of witches. Okay, like if you have family over there, I have a lot of family in London and England. Okay, I have family on like two, three different sides of Northern Europe. Okay, and in London and England and France. So I come from a family of strong ritual background. Okay, the Celtic is a part of my family DNA. Okay, a lot of my great grandmother, um all of her aunts were witches. I can say that. Okay, so all of my great aunts from England, they were all witches. Okay, so I kind of inherit that information, that knowledge of being attracted to herbs. Um, some of you have powerful angels around you. You have this strong grandmother who was around you, and she's letting you know that the situation was one-sided, where maybe she fell in love because she thought it was love in the beginning, and then it turned out to be one-sided. Okay, she's saying to you that although she loved your grandfather, he was a cheater. Okay, for some of you, she was saying, okay, yeah, he was a cheater. He cheated on her. But back then, families would stay together for the sake of the kids, right? For the sake of the kids, for the sake of religion, okay? Um, and for some of you, there could have been a child involved where a child could have been snatched from her family, where she was put into the foster care system, okay? And this child became an orphanage, or she was either put up for adoption where the family gave her away. Okay, so maybe some of you could experience or have that experience and know what it feels like to be put up for adoption. Or maybe some of you or somebody here grew up in the foster system. Okay, and so, or you may be related to somebody, a sister or a cousin in your family who was put up for adoption or perhaps got taken away from the parents where the child was placed in foster care. Okay, and so the child became abandoned and rejected because this child grew up in an orphanage. You said that's you? Okay, so yeah. And so you can have these feelings of isolation and betrayal and resentment because for those who know what it feels like to be grow up in a foster care system and become an orphanage or be put up for adoption or give away a child because you don't have the financial means to raise that child. Okay, so your grandparents can be letting you know, for some of you, that the reason why this child was taken from them is because one, it could have had to do with slavery and racism, where back then black families were torn apart. Okay, and they were purchased from their white masters. Okay, and some of them grew up as becoming, they became housekeepers and maids and servants and farmers. Some of them, um, if you were considered light skinned or mulatto, the lighter your skin was, you received the opportunity and chance to work inside the family mansion. If you were dark skinned, then you would go out into the land, out into the heat, and pick cotton and take care of the crops. The darker your skin was, you would be mistreated. Okay. Um, some of you could have had a great grandfather who was brutally beaten. Okay, and he could have been hung on a tree. Because I'm getting this energy where some of you had a uncle. I feel this person was more so like an uncle. He could have been some sort of a great grandfather where he was beaten and was hung on a tree and they killed him on the tree. Okay. And that child, for somebody here, a child could have suffered trauma because way back then, throughout that time, she could have witnessed her father being killed. You know, because back then they hung black people on trees. Um, like I said, in other situations, there was health issues. You know, some of you could have lost a grandmother who died of illness or old age, Alzheimer's, Alzheimer's, heart attack, stroke. Um, some of you could have lost a grandfather in the military, where he died with honors because he was in the service. You know, others of you, you could have lost somebody, like I said, back then to slavery and imprisonment, where somebody could have got locked up and they was in prison. And so this is why the journey, it says it was a long road. It was a long journey. It wasn't easy. Okay, or the journey ahead of some of you, because some of you could have been split up from your family. You could have been put in foster care, orphanage. Okay, and so the journey ahead, um, for some of you that you have experienced. Okay, some of you can probably relate to what it feels like, to being in a relationship where it almost feels a bit unrequited, one-sided, where you fell in love with somebody who probably didn't share those same feelings for you. Okay, or you could have found yourself married to somebody where you went through this legal separation. Okay, because this person had to leave and go, either got locked up, your husband could have went to prison, or your husband could have went to some sort of institution, whether it was drug, alcohol related, or they could have left and had to go into the military, right? Or you could have just lost your husband through the divorce because he cheated. I feel like there's a grandmother saying that, yeah, her husband cheated on her. They never got a divorce. Did they legally separate? Yeah. Was he in the service? Yeah. Some of you can have a grandmother or a great grandmother who was a nurse, and your grandmother could have also been in the military, because back then the women was in the military and they took on the medical unit. Okay, so some of you could have had an aunt or a great grandmother who was in the military, who took care of the wounded soldiers. Okay, I'm picking up on that too, with somebody here is saying that, yeah, there were blessings and there were lessons that was taught, many lessons that was taught. And for some of them, all they had was religion. Okay, religion was one of the many ways that got them through this here grief and sorrow. Okay, this here feeling abandoned as a child. Um, this here, this illness that you lost a grandparent or a child. Um, I feel like this grandmother, her spirit is definitely with you. Okay, um, and this angel, this Native American um father. Some of you could be the black sheep in your family, black sheep warrior in your family. I feel like when it comes to what you're going through, spirit is telling you to light, you have to know how to light your own path. You have to know how to, spirit is telling you that the time has come for you to open your third eye. Okay, when it comes to light codes, you have to light your path. Okay, because the spiritual path awaits you. And you are to your own path. Some of you, yeah, you are around there a lot of soul fragments, but there's a need to restore, to get balance back and restore. Kundalini. Kundalini means initiate your passion for life. Okay, initiate your passion for life. Open up your third eye. The time has come to do some real strong meditation, okay? Because improvements require your attention. Okay, so you have spiritual angels that's calling for your attention in this situation because there's a strong sexual connection between you and this other person. But, and for some, yeah, there's some soul ties here, but there's some deep, dark secrets hidden beneath the rim that I just shared with you. Okay, some of your grandparents, like I said, there could be foster care situation, adoption, orphanage situation, slavery, racism, child neglect, child molestation, sexual assault, um, rape. You know what I'm saying? Incest, family members sleeping with other family members. So spirit is definitely telling you the time has come to clear and activate your chakra. The time has come for clear, communication in this here situation. Some of you, the time has come for you to set your heart free because some of you are holding yourself in bondage because of your past life. And so spirit is definitely telling you to look beneath the surface when it comes to shielding your energy. And it's weird how that frog is there because as I'm sitting here looking at this frog, this right here is my own frog. I have a green frog too. So that's kind of weird. As I'm sitting there looking at that frog, I'm looking at my own green frog. Um, it's definitely tell you that when it comes to travel, caution is needed, okay? Caution is needed to avoid accidents, okay? Because some of you may find yourself in a car accident, so definitely be caution. Take caution to the wind when traveling, okay? You could have lost an ancestor, who also died on a voyage where they could have been shipwrecked, okay? Because somebody here has an ancestor who's a nurse, and she could have took care of wounded soldiers during that shipwreck, okay? Because I feel like back then, there was a shipwreck where somebody felt themselves wrecked out on the ocean. Because spirit is telling you to guard your energy. You know, guard your energy. Don't let people steal your energy, Virgos. Okay? Don't let people steal your energy. Because some of you are going through a repeated pattern and cycle and unevenly yoked situation due to your grandparents and what they once upon a time went through themselves. Connie said, grew up in foster care since birth. Yeah. Arlene said, molested. Nayla said, used to draw Celtic cross all the time. Okay, as a little girl, you said you was highly protected by your angels are with you. Great grandfather was in slavery and escaped from plantation. Yeah, so you guys can relate to this reading 100%. Okay. Um, the reason why you are attracted to this here Celtic cross, just like I am. Okay, I even have it on my hand. I keep my cross on my hand at all times. Okay, so I have three different Celtic cross on this hand. Okay, I have to find myself. I misplaced my big Celtic cross ring. I have to find it, and my black moonstone ring. I have to find that too. But yeah. See, you guys are taking on the high priest. For those of you who understand the feelings of pain, tribes, and tribulations, okay? For those of you who went through this and coming out of this, you're taking on the high priest energy. Somebody who is very sensitive, caring, devoted, loyal, a teacher, a nurse, a nun, um, an angel of ministry. You care to help people who are less fortunate, okay? And so you have this caring, this nurturing ability about yourself, okay? And so you're taking on this here Celtic cross energy when it comes to the elements of fire, air, earth, and water. Okay? And it froze up again. So let me go back out. That's just letting you know that you have a stepfather and stepfather. I'm so sorry. You guys as a child. I was 5 years old and I got molested by my babysitter. Okay, well by my babysitter's brother. 5 years old. So yeah. And I was date raped when I was 16 and I got raped again, brutally raped when I was 18. So I can definitely that, okay? Yeah, I can definitely relate to that 100%. Um, yeah, Virgos. It's, let me get hit on and upload that. Okay, let me get on and upload this and let's see how it comes out, you guys. Let me see how it comes out. Let me see what I can do. Because it done froze up. So let me see what I can